All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're digging into a story that's been making some serious waves, and we're going to use the evidence you'll see right here to piece together what really happened. So, we're jumping right into the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry to try and figure out this real puzzle at the very heart of the South African Police Service. And it all boils down to one single, really baffling question. Okay, just imagine this for a second. It's December 31st, New Year's Eve, and a police team, a really effective one, mind you, that was making huge progress on a major national problem, gets an order to just shut down immediately. The big question the inquiry had to answer was just, why? What was going on? So where do you start? Well, you go right to the top. The commission called in the person who made the call, the Minister of Police. He came prepared with his official story, claiming this was all about a bigger, long-term plan for the police force. Basically, his whole argument rested on two main points. First, he said, look, we've got a new system with permanent units now, so these temporary task teams, they're kind of obsolete. And second, he argued that keeping this specific team, the PKTT, going was, in his words, untenable, both administratively and constitutionally. Right, so the commission heard this word untenable, and they didn't just nod and write it down. Nope, they decided to really dig into that claim. They started pulling at the thread, beginning with a pretty simple test. Was the minister's story even consistent? So this right here was the bedrock of his justification. He's saying, hey, you can't have these temporary teams floating around outside the official structure. It's a problem. Sounds like a clear, straightforward rule, right? Okay, so if that's the principle that these long-running temporary teams are a no-go, then the next question is obvious, isn't it? Did you apply this rule across the board? What about all the other task teams that had been around for a while? Were they shut down too? And boom. This is where the official story starts to get some serious holes in it. As you can see, the evidence laid out for the commission showed other teams had been running for just as long, about 7 years, but they were still active. So this untenable rule, it seems it was only a problem for one specific team, the PKT. So when the commission pushed back on this, the whole untenable argument started to fall apart. First, the minister had to admit, okay, you're right, it wasn't constitutionally untenable, so that part of his reason was gone. That just left the administrative side of things, and his justification for that was based on some complaints that, get this, he admitted he never even bothered to check out with police leadership. But you know what the biggest challenge to the minister's reasoning was? It wasn't an argument from a lawyer or a piece of evidence from a witness. No, the biggest problem for his story was his own actions from that exact same month. And this is the point where the official story it completely falls to pieces. I mean, think about it. If these temporary teams are such a fundamental problem that you have to disband one, why on earth would you turn around and create a brand new one? And this timeline just lays the contradiction out there, plain as day. On December 9th, the minister gives the order, create a new task team to fight taxi violence. Then, just 22 days later, he dissolves the PKTT because, supposedly, these kinds of teams are untenable. You can't have it both ways. I mean, look at them side by side. It's just wild. Both teams were temporary. Both were set up to tackle a specific violent crime wave. Yet one is labeled a problem that has to be shut down, while the other is created as a solution, and it was so successful it actually got extended. It makes no sense. Okay, so let's put the shaky logic aside for a minute. What actually happened on the ground? What were the real-world consequences of shutting this team down so abruptly? Well, the minister's official line was that he wasn't just firing these skilled officers. No, the plan, he said, was a seamless integration. The idea was to take all that expertise and absorb it into the new, permanent murder and robbery units. Sounds good on paper, right? But what the evidence revealed was a massive difference between that plan and what actually happened. The real order that came down from police command wasn't integrate. It was, and this is a quote, go back to their old stations. So instead of preserving this expertise, they just scattered it to the winds. And that brings us to maybe the most important question in this whole mess. If you're going to get rid of the team that's doing the job, you better be absolutely sure the team that's taking over is ready. So, were they? Were these murder and robbery units actually ready to handle this kind of work? Well, the person who was actually in charge of those units, General Mutiarpe, gave a very clear answer. No. He testified that, yeah, the structures were there on an org chart, but his units were absolutely not equipped or ready to take over that responsibility when the order came down. And this right here is why all of this matters so much. Just look at these numbers. They tell the whole story. In 2018, you had 58 of these cases. By 2024, thanks to this team, that number was down to just 4. An incredible drop. By any measure you can think of, this team was working. It was a success. So after looking at all the evidence, the commission leaves us with a really powerful and frankly a pretty disturbing question. It seems a system that was proven to work was dismantled for reasons that just don't add up, and it was done before replacement was even close to being ready. It forces you to ask, what happens when a proven solution gets taken away?